Okay. This is working. Can everyone hear me? Fantastic. How are we all doing? All good? Brains frazzled from 2 workshops already? No. Okay, so we're privileged enough here to have Amie and Lucy in the room with us. We'll be speaking a bit about influencer marketing, which I'm really excited for. They're part of Huddle, a community of content creators based in the Southwest. And Amie and Lucy are focused on nurturing digital creativity and cultivating authentic partnerships between brands, businesses, and content creators. So just before I asked all of the speakers for an interesting fact about themselves, it was quite funny. In the email, I asked Amie, and it got cut off. So I got Amie sold the first car that she ever, but after speaking to her, you traded it for a handbag, was that right?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, that's an interesting purchase.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
I don't have the handbag, but I'd have written the car off years ago. So.
There you are. And Lucy performed a Flash Flock Swan Lake with the Birmingham Royal Ballet, which is awesome.
I'm not going to perform that for you now.
Fantastic. I'll hand you over. They'll be speaking for around about kind of 40 minutes or so, and there should be some time for questions at the end. Okay. Give a round of applause to Lucy and Amie.
Yeah, we're going to try without a microphone, so it's not a very big room, is it? So hopefully everybody can hear us. So yeah, as we were introduced, I'm Lucy Young, this is Amie McLoughlin, and we are the founders of Huddle. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what we do, about the power of influencer marketing and partnerships, and how you can make this work for you and your business. So as mentioned, we are Huddle, a content creator agency based in Plymouth, and we work with brands and businesses to connect them with content creators who best align with their brand values for partnerships and collaborations. Essentially, we save you scroll searching for the right influencer who aligns with your brand and help you to produce high-quality, effective and authentic content that adds value to your campaign. Huddle also helps nurture digital creativity, levelling up social media skills and growing a local community of content creators through exclusive social events that enable networking in a fun and relaxed way. So since launching in February this year, we've hosted a number of events that have seen brands and influencers come together for some super successful partnerships and collaborations. So first of all, just to put it into context, what is influencer marketing and why is it important? So there's no denying that there's been a rapid and exponential change across the media landscape over the last decade. Traditional forms of press, such as local and national newspapers, glossy magazines, and even print advertising, have seen a huge decline with the advent and wide-reaching growth of digital. The vacuum created in the print world was quickly filled by social media and its plethora of platforms, changing the way that people consume media for good. So, for example, rather than reading a newspaper over breakfast or a daily commute, it's been replaced by scrolling through news feeds. Instead of spending your coffee break maybe flicking through a magazine, you're more likely to swipe through Instagram posts or TikTok reels. Marketing obviously then had to adapt quickly in order to keep up and continue to reach consumers and customers in a meaningful and current way. This undoubtedly presented significant challenges for those who have worked in the industry for years and were used to adopting traditional, tried and tested campaign strategies. In the early days of social media, personality took hold and the influencer phenomenon was born. So high-profile celebrities and self-styled social media personas took hold of the new digital landscape, gaining followers and therefore influence at an alarming rate. So if we think back to those kind of early kind of YouTuber days of people like Zoella, and if you've got kids, you might have been aware of something Blippi. These people, it was like, where have these people come from? It was hard to appreciate and understand their reach and their appeal, but like it or not, they were here to stay. Businesses then fought hard to get their products into the hands and onto those social feeds, ditching maybe to more traditional forms of marketing and advertising, but often requiring a big budget and collateral to work with such high-profile influencers. So, yeah, that has seen a big evolution, say, in the last kind of even 5 years. So after the initial success of those kind of high-profile celebrity influencers, consumers very quickly started to kind of mistrust their very sort of salesy accounts that seem to endorse or promote like anything and everything, and clearly in some cases just for money. Some appeared inauthentic and ungenuine, and collaborations with companies then started to have a negative effect on brand perception or sales, and influencer became a dirty word. As social media grew, new types of influencers began to emerge, and how we formed interactions and alliances with them changed. So we're going to delve into this a little bit more later, but this leads into the concept of digital word of mouth.
So a social media user who posts regularly can quickly embed themselves into your daily routine. You build an affiliation with them, you follow them through their highs and their lows, which can mean that you become invested in their journey. And it's throughout this process that trust is built. Consumers often trust the opinions of friends and family much more than they do traditional advertising methods. And given that we spend so much time on our phones, those influencers who we see every single day are fulfilling the role of friends and family, which makes e-word of mouth a valuable tool for businesses and for individuals alike to influence purchasing behaviour. Through digital word of mouth, influencers have become more than just promoters. They've become trusted friends and advisors in the eyes of their followers. And this sense of trust is what makes influencer marketing so effective. Is it me? Yeah. If I put it on, it's going to come on.
Okay.
So in a minute, I'm going to show you a TikTok. If you indulge in a bit of Love Island, like I do, you might know Molly May. Molly May was an influencer before she went on to Love Island. She won Love Island, and she just took influencer marketing to a whole new height. When she mentions anything on her Instagram or on her YouTube, it sells out instantly. And we've started to dub this the Molly May effect. We're going to show you a TikTok now. It's a reaction video of somebody who went to a place called Holly's Farm Shop. Holly's Farm Shop is a place that Molly happened to mention, not in an affiliated way, not in a brand partnership. She said, I went there for coffee. I go quite regularly, it's really nice. And this is what happened.
If you do not believe in the Molly May effect, watch this video. Everyone said that we have like the communal Molly May jacket. Now it's the communal Molly May places. We always come to Holly's Farm Shop. Been coming here for years. Never ever is there anyone there really. She posted on her Instagram, we've just driven to come here on a Sunday to get a hot chocolate, and they are queuing out 3 doors. We literally got lamb kebabs from here last week and no one was bothered. Pure carnage in the car park. It's like going to Alton Towers for a day out. You'll have to buy fast passes soon. I'm sorry, Molly May, I really do love you, but this one I was taking the mick a bit because you have Holly's Farm Shop. My name's Holly, it's my farm shop. They're literally queuing, it's raining. I'm going to put a clip in, but it's literally raining and people are queuing out the door in the rain. What are you going to... What?
So whether you like Molly May or not, it's her constant ability to select and promote desirable products that positions her as a trusted tastemaker. This extends to the brands she endorses and enhances their credibility in the eyes of consumers.
So yeah, we as Huddle kind of use this kind of successful model on a smaller scale, obviously, to work with independent businesses and in the Southwest who have subsequently benefited from this type of influencer marketing in order to reach out to a wider audience. Another video now from someone that we worked with.
Hi everyone, this is Lindsay here from SouthWest Huddle, which is a paddleboarding school in Plymouth in the Royal Yard. Attached to the paddleboarding school is our coffee shop. Just a couple of words about SouthWest Huddle. Using SouthWest Huddle helped us kickstart our season with a bang. Not only did SouthWest Huddle create an amazing event, which we call Wake Up to Wellness, the team managed to create connections and content helpful for us to use throughout the year. Creating content and using the power of social media is not our forte, so this is where SouthWest Huddle stepped in to help supply us with the tools, tricks and tips to help us reach out to a wider audience. So thank you SouthWest Huddle from Linners at SouthWest Huddle.
That was someone else who's obviously very nervous as well, like giving a little testimonial for us. But yeah, so that we took a group of content creators and influencers along to SouthWest Huddle, who are based at Plymouth's Royal William Yard. They were wanting to launch their new season of events, including paddleboard yoga, which was quite new for them. So we took a group of local influencers along. They tried out for the morning the paddleboarding, sup yoga, had lovely coffee and cake in their adjoining cafe that they opened through the summer season. Obviously, all our content creators filmed everything, did a load of amazing content, got it out there on their socials, and SouthWest Up, job done. They were really pleased with what we achieved because obviously it broadened their reach, got all that kind of information out there, and they weren't sure really, how to engage with the right influencers at that time. So we saw this as well as successful, not just a sort of single transaction of, oh, come down, try this out, and they posted about it and off they went. They were kind of the type of influencers that would have used those sorts of outdoor lifestyle-y things anyway, and subsequently went back numerous times, kind of continued to repost and share what SouthWest Huddle were doing, and they saw kind of really, benefit of that throughout their summer season. Some of them went back to go to sort of evening events at the William Yard, and yeah, it kind of was just not just a one-off sort of transaction between them in terms of that event. So yeah, we kind of obviously selected the right people to take along to that. So whilst there might be influencers who say beauty bloggers or whatever, we wouldn't have really taken those people along to something like that. So we very carefully kind of linked them up with people who obviously already do sort of swimfluencers, that we're kind of calling them, that do kind of the wild swimming, the paddleboarding, the outdoor sort of lifestyle. They kind of got what SouthWest Huddle were trying to achieve, and yeah, that really benefited them.
Yeah, as a brand or a business, engaging with the right kind of audience starts with selecting the right influencer. Selecting the right influencer is akin to choosing the right tool for a specific job. It's crucial to understand that influencers are not a one-size-fits-all. So to start with, let's talk through the kind of categories of influencers that we work with. The first would be a creator. Creators are content-driven influencers who focus on generating creative content. They're people like artists, photographers, makers. They excel in crafting compelling, visually engaging content that resonates with their audience. The second kind of influencer that we would work with would be a persona influencer. These are influencers who build their own personal brand. So a bit like Molly May that we said earlier, but maybe on a smaller scale for something more local like what we're doing. They're often lifestyle orientated and relatable to their followers with strong narratives. Their appeal lies in their authenticity. They're just going to share what they're doing day to day, and you're going to relate to it. This is the outfit I wore here. Here's the places I like to eat. This is what I'm doing on a Friday evening. Those kind of people. And then the last kind of influencer category we're going to cover is celebrities. Celebrities are well-known figures in the public eye before they're on social media. So they already bring with them a significant following, and partnering with them is what gives your brand instant exposure to a vast audience quickly.
So yeah, as mentioned with the event that we hosted back in March, it was important to kind of align SouthWest up with the right influencer values. Influencers are more than just a means of promotion. They are real people with beliefs and values. And if your brand aligns with an influencer's values, the partnership becomes more authentic. So it's about shared goals and ethics and a genuine connection that resonates with the audience. So, as I said, it wouldn't have been appropriate really to take someone, say, a gamer necessarily who, has got an account all about, the latest things on Xbox. Maybe they might like to go along and try out the SouthWest Sup yoga, but it seemed more appropriate. Obviously, we picked people who we knew kind of got what SouthWest Sup were about. They already had accounts that were to do with, well-being, outdoor sports, lifestyle stuff. And that really kind of works, building that relationship. And it was obviously more authentic because when they were posting it on their own accounts, it kind of naturally sort of fed into what their feed was about already.
So a little bit about reach and engagement. First of all, reach is the number of individuals or accounts that are exposed to a particular message or content that you put out, how many people have seen it individually. And engagement is the level of interaction, so who's actually actively responding, liking, sharing, commenting. So the creator niche tends to have a smaller, more niche following. The audience tends to be highly engaged. Personas have a moderately larger reach because their broad appeal means they appeal to lots more people. And obviously, celebrities with their broadest appeal have the biggest reach. Their content people see their content the most. Engagement-wise is a bit different. When it comes to engagement, the more well-known creators and personas tend to have the highest level of engagement, even though they have a smaller following. It's normally due to their close-knit and trusting communities. And on the other hand, celebrity endorsements may have a really high reach but a much smaller engagement. That's sometimes because celebrities and bigger, more well-known influencers can have a little unobtainable kind of quality where people feel less likely to engage with them. This can create problems with endorsements, and audiences can sometimes question the authenticity of a partnership. So we were trying to think of an example the other day when we were putting this together, and we said a really great one that would not work now, which worked a little while ago, was, I don't know if you remember, Holly Willoughby and Davina McCall on the TV adverts with their Garnier hair colour boxes. That would never work now, because there is no chance that we think that Holly Willoughby is sat there on a Friday night with a box dye on her hair. She's not doing it. We don't believe it. It's not authentic. So that's where sometimes homing in on those creators who have a smaller, highly engaged following with a really authentic message can be much more powerful.
Yeah, I think going back to what we said about the changing media landscape, I think in the early days of social media, people were very hung up on how many followers have you got. That was the key thing. Whereas these days, I think it's sort of switched more about kind of levels of engagement, and it doesn't a smaller account. It's not all about the followers. It's about the engagement and with those posts and people commenting, liking, sharing, and also their authenticity. Really, you can have a very small kind of nano influencer account, but if they are very niche down and sort of focused on a particular thing, they're more likely to be believed, really, if they're kind of endorsing something that they're already using.
So you've selected an influencer, outreach and tracking. To collaborate effectively, you need to consider your outreach and your tracking methods. So first of all, outreach. Contacting an influencer can be as simple as a friendly, direct message, or sometimes you might see creators have got their email addresses in their bio on their Instagram. You could take it straight to email then. But just keep it light, keep it friendly, and be very clear about your intention and the value of the collaboration that you're proposing. And once you've done all this, you've set your influencer up, they've posted the content, they're engaging, you might sit back and go, lovely, all the hard work's done. It's not. The most important part is the tracking. Tracking is vital to measuring your ROI. Implementing influencer-specific discount codes is an excellent way of measuring the success of your partnership, because these codes enable you to track not only the conversions, but the influencer's impact on your sales and brand visibility. Perhaps you take 2 or 3 influencers on at a time, you run the same campaign. If you've got individual tracking codes, you can see which influencer was the most successful, and then you might delve into why were they so successful, what's their audience looking like that's different to this one. So when you go to do your next influencer campaign, you can learn, and also you've measured your results. If you're taking this to your big boss up here and you go, I want to work with influencers, their first thing they're going to say is, well, is it a good idea? Is it a good use of money? If you've tracked it, then you can show them, yes, it is, and this is why it works. So the categories of influencer, the reach and the engagement levels, all provide a foundation for understanding their impact. However, the true success lies in the alignment of values and a strategic outreach and tracking approach. Influencer marketing is not a one-size-fits-all, but when it's done right, it can yield significant impact for your brand.
I'll just leave that there a second. That was meant to be.
Do you want that one? Yeah, we're a bit all over the place, sorry.
Forgetting to press the button. Oh, that's not next. Go back one.
There you go.
Okay, so there are 2 primary types of collaborations, paid and gifted. It's essential to understand the distinction between these two, as it significantly impacts on the dynamics of the partnership. So in paid collaborations, influencers receive, obviously, monetary compensation for promoting a brand or product. This can involve a fixed fee, a commission, or other payment structures. The compensation is a direct acknowledgement of the influencer's work and reach. It's important, obviously, to sort of point out at that point, if there is a kind of paid interaction going on, just like any other kind of paying for goods or services, there probably would be a contract and paperwork to kind of go along with that. Gifted collaborations, on the other hand, involve influencers receiving products or services for free. Essentially, in these cases, influencers aren't paid in cash, but instead are compensated with the product or experience itself.
Yeah, so it's about really considering the value of what we're proposing. For example, if a designer contacted me today, phoned me, and said, Amie, you've bought 2 of our dresses already. We know you're speaking at Building Brands next week. could we send you a third? We know you've already bought our products, we know you're invested, we know you're already going to building brands. Could you bear it and maybe tag us in a few pictures, share it with us? You go, yeah, that's a great gifted collaboration, you benefit from that. I was already doing it anyway and it's enhanced my experience. Great. If they said, we'd like to send you one of the dresses, but I'd never heard of this company, I don't know them, and we'd like you to go to this beach and shoot a couple of videos, some TikToks and send them to us, but in exchange you do get the dress. You say, well, I'm travelling somewhere, I wasn't already going to travel, I don't know if I like the dresses. You'd start to then go, maybe this should be a paid thing, I'm going out of my way for something different, this is a paid collaboration. And there are obligations to paid collaborations as well.
This is the legal bit, so this is the kind of
Yeah,
bit
so I'm going to read it just to make sure I don't mess anything up here. I can't be held accountable. Promotional commitments. Paid collaborators are expected to fulfil their promotional commitments, including creating content, sharing it on their platforms, and engaging with their audience regarding the brand or product. It's crucial that paid collaborators maintain authenticity and transparency in their promotion, disclosing that they're working with a brand. This is when you see the hashtag ad or hashtag PR, so an influencer openly declares that they're receiving goods in exchange for content or money. There's a little bit of a grey area when it comes to hashtag gifted. I know you've probably seen lots of those on influencer pages. It's harder to track. It's harder to say what's gifted and what's not. I know recently that Stephen Bartlett's come into a little bit of kind of problems where he's not declared to people listening to his podcast, if you don't already know, that he's invested in fuel. So if he's talking about fuel in his podcast, unless underneath he's saying, just to remind you, I'm involved with this brand, I know this brand, it becomes a bit of a grey area. And whilst at the moment it's not really being tackled head on, it is going to be. It will sharpen up. Lastly is content quality. So if you start working with an influencer and they've got beautiful cinematic reels and you go, brilliant, can you create one of those for our brand? And then they post something and it's blurry and it's not quite right, you'd go, this is not the quality that we agreed to. So that's something else to bear in mind.
So gifted collaborations, as we've explained, are slightly different, but they can be a kind of win-win for both parties if the influencer genuinely values the product or service. So like Amie mentioned about the dress, if it's something that you already would buy into or sort of use if it's a product, it's an authentic sort of exchange, and obviously you're getting something as an influencer for free. Fantastic. They tend to work for lower price goods and services, but it's obviously at the influencer's discretion, much like a kind of skill swap, where both parties exchange something of value, creating an authentic partnership. So there isn't that obligation. I guess there's no kind of legal paperwork to say, well, we've sent you that lovely smelly candle in the post and you haven't posted about it. But to be honest, a good content creator or influencer, if it's genuinely something that they like and that they want to endorse, are going to do the content, are going to post about it, because next time round, another company, if they send stuff out and you're just getting all the freebies and not doing your half of the kind of bargain, that's going to dry up and that work. And if you're taking it seriously as a kind of side hustle or even building it as a career, you're not going to get the work if you're not fulfilling your half of the bargain. It is, like we said, it is quite a grey area, but those that do it well manage it well. It can be, as we say, quite hard to control, and these collaborations are built on a sort of trust and understanding, which emphasises the importance of choosing the right influencer and finding someone maybe that you've previously worked with, or another company that's maybe aligns with your brand values, that have previously worked with and can endorse their sort of professionalism, because for some people this is their job. It's a profession that they've chosen, and there's a lot of kind of skill and professionalism that has to go with that. It is worth laying out, from the outset, from a business perspective, what your expectations are. But the real value is building that relationship with the influencer. Like we said, that starts maybe from a marketing point of view, sort of contacting somebody, sort of, direct message, maybe reaching out to them through their email address if they've got that in their bio. But also kind of following them, commenting on their posts, just generally kind of following what they're doing. And if you think this person would be great to kind of help kind of promote our product or business, you need to be engaging with them as well, so they understand what you're all about too. It's more than just a kind of potential for a cash transaction, and you're more likely to get a good return on your gifted collaboration if you work really hard to kind of communicate and build a rapport. with the influencer who you think gets your brand and products, brand values and products. So, see my thread.
Right here.
Oh, it's you.
Given that we're working with a lot of influencers, I think it's only fair that we mention some of the hidden costs on their end. So when you come to put together your collaboration, you're deciding, is this a gifted collaboration, is it a paid collaboration? You really have to look at the value, like we've said earlier. So some of the things that are hidden costs for our influencers are things like their phones, their equipment. You all see the big ring lights and the tripods. They have to buy these things, they have to transport them, they have to insure them. Their travel time as well, like I said, if I was already coming to building brands, then you don't have to cover travel time. I was already doing this. But if you're asking someone to go to a specific location and shoot something, really you should be thinking, right, well, I'm going to have to cover the travel as well as whatever it is that I was going to gift or pay them to collaborate on. I don't know if anyone here does photography or video, but editing time is a huge one. For some of these 30-second videos, we're talking up to like 45 minutes worth of content that you then have to sit through and painstakingly look at the lighting, work out which is the best shot. This takes hours of their time that I think people look at sometimes these short videos and don't really realise the amount of work that's gone into this, and skill as well. Engagement, when they get home, they've posted the content, they're then sat there, and it's hours worth of sharing, commenting, starting conversations, keeping the post momentum going. And lastly with clothing as well, if somebody turns up and you expect them to be presented a certain way, again, this is all things that should be covered within their costs. If you're asking them to do anything that's not what they're already doing, or maybe it's something that they're already doing but they need to do to be able to do the job, then this needs to be covered within the fees. I'm Georgia for a minute. So negotiating with influencers, as you can see, can be a bit of a delicate and a time-consuming process. Influencer agencies often have specialised teams experienced in negotiations. They understand the market rates and ensuring that you get a fair deal. They've got the expertise to analyse the influencer landscape and to match your brand with an influencer whose values align with yours. This not only simplifies the process, but also frees up your time so you can be concentrating on other critical aspects of your marketing strategy.
So obviously this is where Huddle comes in, and third-party agencies like ours bring their extensive industry insights and knowledge to the table. And we can advise you on industry trends, emerging platforms, and which influencers are gaining prominence in your niche. This knowledge is invaluable in keeping your influencer marketing strategy both effective and relevant. We've got another video testimonial with Georgia, who is marketing manager at Block, which is a co-worker space in Plymouth, if you haven't heard of it. She's going to talk a bit more about using us as an agency.
I'm Georgia, and I'm the events coordinator for Block in Plymouth. We've been lucky enough to work with Huddle since we opened by hosting and attending some very wholesome creative events, which have not only expanded my knowledge, but introduced me to some absolutely incredible people. Huddle actually hosted a fashion rehab influencer event in February with Block, and invited local content creators who then actually came back off their own accord to run their own events and also use our co-working here at Block. For us, it's great that we're able to use influencer marketing as it's improved our brand awareness, and because we also collaborate with like-minded influencers, it means we can target an audience that we genuinely want to invite back to Block.
Okay. So yeah, that was we have kind of predominantly worked with kind of small to medium local businesses who've benefited from our agency model and influencer marketing. But kind of more crucially for us, we've built a really good relationship with global beauty brand and British high street hero Lush since we launched in February. So they have been super supportive of what we've been doing and have provided lots of really, obviously Lush products for our goodie bags when we've hosted events for content creators. But more importantly, we've kind of built a relationship with them. You can see kind of on screen at the moment. We've taken content creators and influencers along for some exclusive kind of product launch events. So those influencers we kind of selected because they kind of align with Lush's brand values, and they're people that obviously the relationship is great for them because they're getting in ahead of the game, testing out these products. This one was for a Halloween launch, but we did it back in the summer because obviously that was just ahead of when they were doing going to be launching all their spooky season products.
We had the weather for it as well.
We did, actually, because the weather was atrocious at the end of August, if you remember, so it's felt very autumnal. So, yeah, we were able to take them along. They tried out all the products, went home, did some amazing content. This is just a selection of the kind of reels that the influencers posted literally within hours of attending the event, because these guys are pros. And, yeah, for Lush, it's quite an interesting one as a company, because they have a very kind of anti-social media policy themselves. If you have a look up for Lush, it will say be somewhere better. So I think for their staff, and certainly as a company, they don't necessarily promote kind of their use of Instagram and TikTok. However, they definitely see the benefit of working with us and bringing those content creators along, because we're obviously doing the job for them. So they then posted a load of stuff. Obviously, that gets shared and liked. And this is Hannah, who was a bit camera shy. She didn't want to do a video, so she wrote us a little testimonial. But essentially summing up that Huddle allowed us to have connections in places we didn't have previously. So we were able to bring the right people along to these events, and that's continued to build that relationship, sort of increasing brand visibility for Lush, audience reach and engagement. So yeah, that's been our super successful relationship, which continues to build.
We hope that what we've told you today has inspired you to reach out to an influencer in your sector, whether that's something you're going to do yourself or using a third-party agency like Huddle. It's not slowing down. I'm going to leave you with a quote here from Influencer Marketing Hub, which said that influencer marketing industry is set to grow approximately $21.1 billion in 2023. So it's not going anywhere. We hope that this has been really useful, but if you have any further questions, please, we've got our social media up. So if you want to take out your phones and give us a little scan, you can follow us on Instagram, and we're more than happy to answer any questions if you guys have got anything you'd like to talk about. Thank you.
Has anyone got any questions?
Yeah.
Hi, that was great. Thank you. If you were paying an influencer, can you give some sort of sense of monetary, like what would you pay?
It really depends what the expectation is, what it is you want to do. It really is a case-by-case basis. If there's a specific project that you've got in mind, we'd be more than helpful to kind of chat that through with you. But you have to really, like you said, encompass all of those things when what it is that you want to do.
Those
Sorry, I know that's not very helpful.
Those that are more established are obviously probably have their own like pricing structure ready to kind of share with you. You know, I think there's people that are, like we said, some of the girls that we've got in our network that have been along and working with Lush. They definitely know, you know, they would be able to tell you instantly, this is how much we would charge for X, Y, Z. It's usually to do with like how many posts, how many reels, you know, level of it. If it's just a one-off transaction, it's going to be too much money. But obviously, if you're building up something on a campaign and their fulfillment has to be like over a period of months, then it's going to be more money.
It is. If
Yeah.
you're unclear though, these guys are used to being asked to see their insights. It's not rude.
Yeah.
If you say, can I see your insights, can I see your engagement rates, can you show me a brand you've worked with previously, they would be expecting that now. That's like a portfolio or CV. And if they hadn't, then I would be asking some questions there. Any other questions? Hello.
Do you see much of a difference of influencers between Instagram and TikTok? Do you feel like there's more of a Huddle there for influencers on TikTok?
Yeah, I think there is, absolutely. And also TikTok seems to be kind of a place where everyone's an influencer in a way, whereas on Instagram you kind of have a real divide between people who are sharing their personal story and people who are making it a business. So yeah, there's definitely...
They're very different beasts.
Completely,
and I think that, you know, people don't want to see this kind of polished persona on TikTok. People very much turn up as their sort of genuine, authentic self in their pajamas, no makeup, you know, having a rant about something, and they get like massive engagement because it's very relatable. I think Instagram tends to be still, because obviously it was meant to be a kind of platform for lovely photography, a bit more of a curated kind of approach, and it just depends, I guess, where your brand or business sort of sits, whether you want that kind of gritty, you know, sort of TikTok coverage, or whether you want something, beautiful, curated stuff, really, I guess.
Do influencers, in your experience, work if you have a more mature market? And I'm talking like 60 upwards.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
absolutely,
yeah.
I've just done a campaign with a lady who's in her 60s who just got her hair done somewhere, and it got, I think it finished on something like 70 or 80k views, and then we made an active decision that wasn't a TikTok audience, that was an Instagram audience, and I believe she has a Facebook page as well. We didn't use it for this one, but it's about kind of working out what times that audience is online, what platforms they're on, and if you have an influencer who is of that age group, the chances are they've already got that following, that's how they got there, so that is still your target audience,
So it's been like 45 days since I'm in UK. So my question is from Indian market perspective. So with whoever I speak to from marketing team, like they are talking about Instagram and TikTok. No one's talking about YouTube.
Yeah.
Considering the shelf life of Insta and TikTok is 24 hours, where YouTube is a week or 2 weeks actually. So is the YouTube is a declining trend in India among the marketers, or to take any of the example of YouTube?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, right.
We've got one YouTube that we work with at the moment currently. We don't do much on YouTube, but I think the introduction of YouTube Shorts has really brought them back into the conversation a bit. Now they've got Shorts there, and also for creators, they're able to kind of diversify the same bits of content, tweak it slightly and put it into different platforms. YouTube, because of the length of the video, was very much you're a YouTuber or you're not. But I think people are able to now access that a little bit easier. I know I definitely don't think YouTube is going away now.
Also, what's your thoughts on Facebook videos and reels? Like, is it better than Insta, TikTok, or like?
In my experience, I don't know if you're going to add to it. In my experience, I would say that Facebook for us tends to work really well on a local level, local groups, community pages, things like that. For video content, short form content, it exists there, but we don't do much with it. For us, our results tend to lie almost all on Instagram.
Safe to say that if there's a certain ceiling to how much influencer marketing can do, depending on what your sector is that you're trying to get an influencer for. So it's not traditionally clothing or makeup or coffee or something like that. You should tailor your expectations, I suppose, accordingly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think because anyone can go viral, there's an expectation with every business that's like, when will you make me go viral? And like, oh God. So there's definitely a tailoring expectation thing. But also, I think with a little bit of creative magic and the right influence, actually you don't have to necessarily have a feeling. I worked recently with a window film company, and I was absolutely stumped how to make that exciting or interesting. And then we worked with someone who did ASMR videos. Bam, absolutely clear. And then we did another one, which was a Facebook campaign on DIY on a budget, where people were doing DIY hacks. And those two, it was nailing the right campaigns. And sometimes they require a bit more creative thought, but I wouldn't put my life on it, but most things are possible with a bit of thought, Yeah,
and I think it's important that obviously we're not saying everybody should be spending all their budget on influencer marketing, far from it, and you may not need to spend any actual money at all, but engaging people, it's like an additional tool really in your kind of marketing campaigns, strategy, that it's out there, and it's definitely, some companies being very effective. So.
Yeah. I mean, definitely some things lend themselves easier than others, of course,
Thank you.
How smaller would you consider an influencer to be? I work with some real micro businesses, and they don't have a big budget. Enough for some social media presence. So, like in terms of how, like, gifting things to an influencer, but how they're not going to be looking quite big.
No.
So how small would you consider really small influencer that will make an impact? Yes.
That's probably the impact. So I think it's hard to kind of guess that in a specific company, but like we spoke about with the creator niche, if you can find a creator type of influencer, they may have a much smaller budget and a much smaller following, but if they're putting out really good quality content, they've got an engaged audience, you kind of have to look at budget versus market penetration, and it's something that we can help with, to kind of find the right influencers, it's easier if it's a city that we know, because that's why we're Southwest based, because we tend to know the audience of it. I don't necessarily think it's too small.
No, and I think that's as we were going back to talking about sort of authenticity and sort of turning up and being sort of genuine. If it is a smaller kind of influencer that doesn't have like a massive following or big sort of account, but they're very kind of niche down, in their sort of profile, and it matches with what this company is. They're then obviously their followers follow them for a reason. They're then going to be sort of getting that out there to, even if it's 1,000 people, if their engagement is good. Yeah, no, and actually that seems to be the area. Yeah, an area that is grown. That sort of smaller, using smaller influencers, as opposed to sort of people thinking they've got to like get all their product into the hands of these like massive. People who've got millions of followers is sort of unrealistic, really. It's good for brand awareness, but not necessarily, kind of call to action that people are going to spend their money on that product.
One thing we did find that could be successful is kind of a cheeky way in, is if you want to work with an influencer with a huge following and you don't have the budget for it, look at their inner circle and go that way. So look who's around them. Are they somebody that will start to promote it? And if you kind of hand something to the people around this influencer, there's some, why didn't they approach me? I'd like to work with them. Why have they sent all these guys stuff and not I'm the influencer here? And actually that looks like a really nice product. And then that's a segue in if you're struggling.
What would you generally say is like a good ROI on influencer marketing? Like if you're tracking, say, like the discount code that you mentioned earlier, is that like an average ROI you get, or like a aim to reach?
Not really. What you could do would be to take a look at your previous sales and then mark them against them, then look at how much you've spent, and then I guess you would put that into how much you spent and then what your return is. Is that how you do it?
I think so.
Yeah. That's to be honest, I don't tend to get into the accounts of what other people are doing, because that's with their business. I don't see that side of it. But we always kind of say, make sure you're tracking your sales previous, track your sales after, and then compare. And obviously then deduct what you spent.
Great, that's all we've got time for.
Yeah, thank you.
Applause for Lucy.
Thank you.